Hello everyone. Welcome to Chronicle Academy's YouTube channel. I have provided our address and calling number in case you want to join any of our batches. In today's video, we shall be talking about the Cold War era. The question that we will be addressing is, what is Cold War? But to understand Cold War, we first have to look into all that went down before the Cold War era. So let's first try and understand the background. Before the Cold War era, two world wars had already taken place. The First World War, that took place between 1914 to 1918, was fought between the Central Powers and the Allied Powers. The winners turned out to be the Allied Powers, mainly Britain, France, and the US. The Second World War took place between 1939 to 1945. This was fought between the Allied forces led by the US, Soviet Union, Britain and France, and the Axis powers led by Germany, Italy and Japan. The winners turned out to be the Allied forces who defeated the Axis powers in 1945 when the United States dropped two atomic bombs on Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, causing Japan to surrender. I will not go into why and how of these two wars, as the focus of this video is only Cold War. However, it is important to understand that it was the consequences, rather outcomes of the Second World War that marked the beginning of the Cold War era. The outcome of the Second World War was some major realizations, especially after the way the Second World War ended. The war devastated the world in terms of loss of human lives and civilian property. It left many people homeless. Schools, hospitals and other civilian properties was destroyed and damaged. And like we discussed, there was a huge loss of human lives as well. This devastation took place not only in Europe, but many other parts of the world. Secondly, there was this understanding that the destruction caused by the use of atom bombs is too costly for any country to bear, especially after the dropping of atom bombs by the US on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 had resulted in horrific casualties and devastation and long-term effects of radiation exposure, including increased rate of cancer and birth defects among the children of the survivors. And finally, there was this realization that another world war must be avoided at all costs in order to ensure human survival. Since no political gains could possibly justify the destruction of societies that would take place, especially since the two rival powers, which were the US and the USSR, as we shall see, were in possession of nuclear weapons and were capable of inflicting death and destruction on a large scale, which would be unacceptable to both the parties. And now, coming back to the question, what is Cold War and why was it called the Cold War? The timeline of the Cold War can be roughly traced between 1946 and 1991, which is after the Second World War, and it ended with the disintegration of the USSR or the Soviet Union, as we shall see in probably another lecture, because like I said, we shall be focusing on the Cold War only in this one. So with the defeat of great powers like Germany and Japan and the devastation of Europe and many other parts of the world, the United States and the Soviet Union became the greatest powers of the world. And the world witnessed, firstly, the emergence of two superpowers that were rival to one another, the US and the USSR, which ultimately emerged as two power blocks as the superpowers started to make alliances to increase their influence. It was also a way in which each of the superpowers wanted to prove themselves to be better and more acceptable than the other one. The second aspect, and perhaps the most remarkable aspect of the Cold War era, was the logic of deterrence. Deterrence basically means to avoid or discourage an action. And since both these superpowers had stockpiles of nuclear weapons, there was this understanding that in an event of a nuclear war, if that happened, both the sides will be so badly harmed that it will be impossible to declare any one of them as the winner. since both the sides had the capacity to retaliate against an attack and cause so much destruction. None of them could actually afford to initiate war in the first place. It was the very reason why, in spite of being an intense form of rivalry between the great powers, it remained a cold war, so to say, and not a hot shooting war. This brings us to the third and a notable point, which is the military feature of the Cold War. Due to the deterrence relationship that we discussed, it was understood, like I said, that fighting would be massively destructive. Hence, the idea was to practice restraint and avoid the risk of another world war. The two superpowers and the countries in their respective rival blocs, led by the superpowers, were expected to behave as rational and responsible actors. This is why, despite of competition and the tensions and the series of confrontations between the two superpowers and their allies, it never actually escalated into a hot war, so to say, or a global war as such. Now let's look at the main features of the Cold War. 1. Power rivalries. The Cold War era was a period of tension between the two superpowers, the US and the USSR, both of whom were desperately trying to prove themselves as better than the other one. Accordingly, there was also this competition to become more powerful than the other one. The two key events of confrontations were, firstly, the Berlin Wall that was constructed in 1961. The Berlin Wall physically and ideologically divided East Berlin, that followed Soviet-style regime, and West Berlin, that followed a US-style regime. The reason behind the construction of Berlin Wall was that between 1945 and 1961, 15 to 20% of population of East Berlin had moved to West. This was quite embarrassing for the Soviet power. In 1961, General Khrushchev, leader of Soviet Union, ordered the East German government to close Berlin's borders. Hence, a wall with barbed wires stretching for about 100 miles was built to stop this movement of people from east to west. Now, they had to pass through border crossings. This action also caused a standoff between the American and the Soviet tanks at Checkpoint Charlie. However, the possibility of World War III was averted as the American President John F. Kennedy contacted Khrushchev, the Soviet leader, and both withdrew their tanks. Another event that demonstrated prospects of a clash between the two superpowers and made the whole world nervous was the Cuban Missile Crisis that took place in 1962. Cuba was an ally of the Soviet Union and received both diplomatic and financial help from it. However, due to its close proximity regionally to the US, the Soviet leaders worried that US might invade the communist-ruled Cuba and overthrow Fidel Castro, the president of the small island nation. So in 1962, General Khrushchev, who was the Soviet leader, decided to convert Cuba into a Russian base and placed nuclear missiles in Cuba. Because of being at such a close range, this installation of weapons actually doubled the number of bases or cities in the American mainland which could be threatened by the USSR through these missiles. When the Americans became aware of this development, at first they were reluctant to do anything as that could lead to a full-scale war. But then, since they were determined to have Khrushchev and the Soviet Union basically remove the missiles from Cuba, the American President Kennedy ordered American warships to stop any Soviet ships heading to Cuba as a way of warning the Soviet Union that they were serious about this. This almost clash between the two superpowers is known as the Cuban Missile Crisis. To everyone's relief, both the sides decided to not go to war, and hence this did not escalate into a full-fledged war. It is to be noted that at many events of confrontations between the two superpowers and their allies, it was also organizations that were outside of the two power blocs, such as the United Nations and the members of the Non-Alignment Movement (NAM), that proved to be quite helpful in the negotiations between the two superpowers. Coming to the second important feature, which was military alliances during the Cold War. Whole of Europe was basically divided into more or less two rival alliances. The Eastern Europe, who were the allies of the Soviet Union, and the Western Europe, who were the allies of the US. Hence, also known as the Western Alliance and the Eastern Alliance. In 1949, the Western Alliance was formalized into an organization called the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. NATO exists till date, however it has evolved over time in its nature, tasks and focus. As a response to NATO, the Eastern Alliance was formalized into Warsaw Pact. It was created in 1955, and the main aim of Warsaw Pact was to basically counter NATO. The Warsaw Pact was disbanded in 1991. In the East and Southeast Asia, the United States built an alliance system called the SEATO, Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, and in the Middle East, it created this alliance system called the CENTO, the Central Treaty Organization. The SEATO was created in 1954 and disbanded in 1977, and CENTO was created in 1955 and disbanded in 1979. The Soviet response to the creation of SEATO and CENTO was having close relations with regional countries such as North Vietnam, North Korea, and Iraq. There were basically two motives behind the military alliance. Firstly was collective security, which basically meant that an attack on any one of the members of the military alliance would mean an attack on all of them. So the response would also come from all the members of that organization. The second motive was again a containment of the influence of the other superpower. So both of them wanted to have more and more allies than the other one. 3. Balance of power. According to the balance of power theory, states secure their survival by preventing any other state from gaining enough military power so as to be able to dominate all the others. Both the superpowers were keen on expanding their sphere of influence and were desperately trying to contain and limit the others' spread and influence. The Truman Doctrine, which aimed at providing aid to anti-communist countries, and Marshall Plan, which aimed at reconstruction of Western Europe, respectively, by the US, as well as the Berlin blockade by the Soviet Union, were also part of these efforts to contain the other superpower. It seemed like the world was divided into two alliance systems. A state was supposed to remain tied to its protective superpower and get aid and protection from them, and in return, the state was to return this favor by extending support and also sometimes providing locations for spying and launching weapons, and also provide vital resources like oil and minerals at times. And so, balance of power resulted in competitive acquisition of territory by both the superpowers. The other aspect of balance of power was arms race. Since the Cold War did not eliminate rivalries between the two alliances and the two superpowers mainly, mutual suspicions led them to arm themselves to the teeth and to constantly prepare for war. The two sides understood that war might occur in spite of all the restraint. Either side might miscalculate the number of weapons in possession of the other side, or they might misunderstand the intentions of the other side. So, because of all of this fear and suspicion, both the superpowers and their alliances continued to hoard and pile up weapons. And finally, 4. Ideological conflict. This is where it all started and more or less ended. The Western Alliance, headed by the US, represented the ideology of liberal democracy and capitalism. The Eastern Alliance, headed by the Soviet Union, was committed to the ideology of socialism and communism. Both these superpowers wanted to prove that their ideology was a more appropriate way of organizing political, economic, and social life all over the world. The Cold War ended in 1991 with the disintegration of Soviet Union, and the ideology of a liberal democracy and capitalism came to be the dominant one in later years, as can be seen even today. Alright, that's it for this lecture. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. This was Anamika Singh. If you like this video, do share and subscribe. Thank you. Drop your responses and questions in the comment section below.